To begin, we want to start with a slip knot on our crochet hook, and I like to leave about a 6-inch tail that we can weave in. So to do my slip knot, I'm just going to put my crochet hook in front of my working yarn, push it down, and wrap my tail up around the hook like this. And then I'm just going to pinch right here and yarn over and bring that yarn through that loop. And then I'm going to push up from my tail to create that slip knot. And that is my slip knot. And now I'm going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we want to join with a slip stitch to that first chain that we created. So we're just going to insert our hook there, yarn over, bring that yarn through that chain and through the loop that's on our hook. And we just created a ring. So now what we're going to do is work in the center of this ring, and we're going to chain 2. That chain 2 is not going to count as a stitch. It's just there to give us height for our stitches, and it's also going to help us with keeping a straight line when we're working our our rounds. So now what we're going to do is work 10 double crochets all in the center of this ring. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the center of that ring, yarn over, bring that yarn through and up. You have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, go through the first 2 loops. That leaves you with 2. You're going to yarn over again and go through the last 2 loops. And that's your first double crochet. And we want to do 9 more because we want a total of 10. So yarn over, insert your hook in the center, and again, you have 3 loops, yarn over, go through the first 2, and again, yarn over, go through the last 2. So that's 2 double crochets. Remember that chain 2 does not count as a stitch. So again, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, bring that through and up, yarn over, go through 2, and again, yarn over, go through 2, and again, yarn over, and there we go. This is number 5. This is number 6. This is number 7. This is number 8. This is 9. And this is number 10. So after you do your 10 double crochets, you're going to want to join with a slip stitch to the top of the first double crochet that you did. So you're going to skip that chain 2 that you did, and you're just going to work a slip stitch into the top of the first double crochet that you did. So you always want to make sure to count your stitches to make sure that you have the appropriate amount of stitches. So I'm going to count my stitches. So if you're looking at your stitches, you can see the top here. It looks like a V. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 7. This is 8. This is 9. And this is number 10. So this is where I want to join. And then right here is that chain 2, the 1 and the 2. But we're skipping over that chain 2, and we're going to join right here to the top of that first stitch that we did. So I'm going to reinsert my hook, pull that loop so it's not big, and then I'm going to join with a slip stitch. So I'm going to insert my hook into the top underneath both of those loops of the stitch, yarn over, bring it through that stitch and through the loop that is on my hook, and that is joining with a slip stitch. And now for round 2, but before we go on, some people like to crochet, which normally I do, around the tail to help make the center smaller. But I want this to be a nice simple one, and I don't want to confuse anybody on how to work around the tail to make it confusing. So another way to close that tail is by just working your tail by weaving it in around this circle here and pulling it nice and tight. And we can do that real quick, and I'll show you that. So you're just going to grab your yarn needle, thread your yarn needle. A lot of people also like to use a magic circle, but I wanted to make it just nice and simple for a beginner double crochet hat. So I have threaded my yarn needle, and I'm going to take that needle and I'm just going to go around in a circle around this circle, around the hole there. Just kind of going just under and over. So come back to the beginning there, and then I'm just going to pull nice and tight, and you can see that that closes the center, so there's not a big hole in the center there. And then of course I would want to weave in, so then I would go back. I like to do like a zigzag, 3 directions. For me, that secures it nice. You always want to weave in your tails, especially when you're doing a magic circle or magic ring. A lot of people don't. I've been hearing and finding out, and it's very important, even if you use a magic circle or magic ring, that you still weave in your tail, because it can still come undone. So you don't want to do all that work and then have it become unraveled. So always weave in your tails, even if you do the magic circle. Okay, so I'm satisfied with that. My scissors are out of reach, so I'm going to cut that tail later. And now on to round 2. So what we're going to do for round 2 is we're going to chain 2. So 1 and 2. That chain 2 is not going to count as a stitch again. And now what we're going to do is work 2 double crochets into that same joining stitch. So this is where we joined this stitch right here. So we're going to work 2 double crochets into this here stitch that the crochet hook is in. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that stitch underneath both of those loops, yarn over, bring that yarn through and up. You have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, go through the first 2 loops. That leaves you with 2. You're going to yarn over and go through the last 2 loops, and that's your first double crochet again. And now you want to do another one in that same joining stitch. Yarn over, go underneath, yarn over, bring that through and up, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, yarn over, go through the last 2 loops. So that's your first 2 double crochets into your first stitch, and now you're going to do that into each stitch around all the way to the end there. So we're going to work 2 double crochets into each stitch around. So 1 and 2. There's our next one. So 1 and 2. 2 double crochets into the next. So 1, 2, and we're doing this into each stitch around, working 2 double crochets. So at the end of this round, you'll have 20 stitches, not counting that chain 2. So we're just working 2 double crochets into each stitch around. Just a simple basic double crochet hat. And again, 1, and 2, and then again 1 and 2, and again 1 and 2, and you should have a total of 20 double crochets. And now I know that this is the end here, because if you're looking closely you can see right here, this is your slip stitch from before, and this is your chain 2, and then this is our first double crochet of the round. So this is where I want to join with the slip stitch. So you want to make sure you have your 20 double crochets. So again, if you're counting your stitches and you're looking at them at the top here, it's a little V. So this is 1 stitch, this is 2, and then this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And then there's that chain 2 that we're going to skip over. So we're going to reinsert our hook into that loop, pull that working yarn from the skein because we don't need that loop super big, and then we're going to skip over that chain 2, insert our hook into that top of the first double crochet that we did of the round, yarn over, bring that yarn through that stitch and through the loop on our hook, and that's our second round. Round 3, we're going to chain 2. Remember that chain 2 is not going to count as a stitch. And now in that same joining stitch, we're going to double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook in that same joining stitch, yarn over, bring that through and up. You have the 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, yarn over, go through the last 2 loops. And now in the next stitch, you're going to work 2 double crochets. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, bring that through and up. You have the 3 loops, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, yarn over, go through the last 2 loops. And then again, we want to work 1 more double crochet in that same stitch you just worked in. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, bring that through and up. You have 3 loops, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the last 2. So we're going to repeat this pattern around. So we're going to work 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then we're going to work 2 double crochets into the next one. So this is 1 and this is 2, and we're going to repeat that around. So 1 and then 2. And you should have 30 double crochets at the end of this round. So 1 and then 2. This is 1 and then 2. One and then 2. To pull some more yarn from my skein. And again, 1 and 2. So 1, 2, and again 1, and then 2, then 1, and you're always going to be working underneath both loops unless the pattern tells you otherwise when you're doing crochet. And then 1, and 2. So you should have a total of 30 stitches. And again, if you're counting at the top here, you just count those little V's. Or if you want, double crochets are nice because they have the nice long posts. You can just count the posts around as well. So let's go ahead and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. This is 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30, and then this is that chain 2 that we're going to skip over, reinserting my crochet hook into that loop, and we're going to join with a slip stitch to our first double crochet that we created. And that's our round 3. Round 4, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. That does not count as a stitch. We're going to double crochet into that same joining stitch, and then we're going to work a double crochet into the next stitch, and now we're going to work 2 double crochets into the next one. So this is 1, and now we're working 2. So we just did 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and then 2 double crochets. And we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. So we're going to work 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So that's 1, and this is the second stitch. And now we're going to work 2 double crochets into this here third stitch. So we're working over 3 stitches. So this is 1, and this is 2. So our next grouping of 3 stitches, we're going to do 1, 1, and then work 2 stitches in here. So we're doing 1 double crochet into each of the next 2. So 1, 2, and now we're going to work 2 double crochets into the third one here. So this is 1 and 2. And again, we're doing 1 and 2. And now we're going to work 2 double crochets into this next one. And again, we're starting our grouping over again. So 1, 1, and now we're going to work 2. So this is 1 and this is 2. So our little grouping is over 3 stitches. So we're going to work 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet again, and now into that third one we're going to work 2 double crochets. So 1 and 2. Now we're going to restart that 3 stitch grouping. We're working 1 double crochet into the first 2. So 1, 2, and now into that last one, we're going to work 2 double crochets. So 1 and 2. And we're starting over again. So 1, 1, and 2. And again, 1, 1, and 2. And again, 1, 1, and now 2. So 1 and 2. So you should have a total of 40 stitches. And of course you want to count your stitches. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, and 40. And now what we want to do, just like we've been doing, is join with a slip stitch to that first double crochet that we did. So we're skipping over that chain 2, and we're going to join with a slip stitch to that first double crochet. And you'll notice here that all of our joinings, it's just kind of keeping us in a nice straight line when we do that chain 2. That seems to help keep you in the same direction. In our next round, we're going to chain 2. So 1, 2, and we're going to double crochet into that same joining stitch. So yarn over and start your hook into that same joining stitch and work your double crochet. And now we're going to work a double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So 1 and 2. And now we're going to work 2 double crochets into the next one. So 1 and 2. So our little grouping is working over 4 stitches, and we're going to be repeating this pattern around. So we're working over 4 stitches, and we're doing a double crochet into the first 3 stitches, and then we're doing 2 double crochets into the 4th one. So 1, 1, 1, and then 2, and we're doing that over 4 stitches. So let's do that again. So we're working 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and now in the 4th one we're going to work 2 double crochets. So this is our 4th stitch, and we're going to work 2 double crochets. So that's 1, and this is 2. And now we're going to start all over again. So in the next 3 stitches we're going to work 1 double crochet. So 1, 2, and this is 3. In that 4th one, our last one, we're going to work 2 double crochets. So 1 and 2. And now we're starting over again with our grouping of 4, and we're going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and this is 3. And now we're going to work 2 double crochets into the next one. So this is 1, and this is 2. And now we're going to start over again, and we're going to work 1 double crochet into each of the next 3. So 1, this is 2, and this is 3. And now we're going to work 2 double crochets into the 4th one. So 1 and 2. And now we're starting over again, so we're going to work 1 double crochet into each of the next 3. So 1, 2, this is 3, and now we're going to work 2 double crochets into the last one. So 1 and 2. And now we're starting over, so we're going to do our 1 double crochet into each of the next 3. So 1, 2, and this is 3. And now we're going to do 2 double crochets into the last one. So 1 and 2. And again, we're going to start over and do 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to do 2 double crochets into the last one. So 1 and 2. And once again, we're starting over. So 1 double crochet into each of the next 3. So that was 1. This is 2. This is 3. And now we're going to do 2 double crochets into the last one here. So this is 1 and 2. And now we're on our last little grouping. So 1 double crochet into the next 3 stitches. So 1, this is 2 and 3. And then 2 double crochets into our last one. 1, 2, and you should have a total of 50 stitches. So again, we want to count, and you can count it at the top here where you have your little V, or you can count the post, whichever you prefer. So let's do our post this time. So we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, and 50. And remember, this chain 2 does not count as a stitch. So I'm going to reinsert my hook into that loop, and we want to join with a slip stitch to the top of that first double crochet that we did. So we're skipping that chain 2 and joining with a slip stitch to the first double crochet. Okay, and now your diameter should be about 6.5 across. And that's what we want. Now we're going to chain 2. So 1, 2. Remember that never counts as a stitch for us. And now we're going to work a double crochet in that same joining stitch. And we're also going to work 1 double crochet into each stitch around. So you'll have 50 stitches at the end of this round. So we're just working 1 double crochet, no more increases, just double crochets into every stitch around. Okay, and you should have your total of 50 stitches. We're at the end, so we're just going to join with a slip stitch to the top of that first stitch that we did, skipping over that chain 2. And now we're going to chain 2 again, and we're going to repeat that last round that we just did, round 6. So we're just going to work a double crochet into that same joining stitch. And we're going to work a double crochet into each stitch around. And at the end of this round, we'll also have 50 stitches. So we're just working 1 double crochet again into each stitch around. Okay, and this completes round 7. And now we're just going to go ahead and join again with a slip stitch to that first double crochet of the round, skipping over that chain 2. And again, you should have your 50 stitches. And now for round 8, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to chain 2, work a double crochet into that same joining stitch, and we're going to also work a double crochet into each stitch around. And at the end of this round, you should also have 50 stitches again. So we're just working 1 double crochet into each stitch around. This is the last stitch for round 8. And again, you should have 50 stitches. And now we're going to join with a slip stitch to that first double crochet that we did, skipping that chain 2. And for round 9, we're going to repeat by chaining 2 and working a double crochet into that same joining stitch and working a double crochet into each stitch around. And I'll see you guys back at the end of this round. Okay, we are at the end of round 9. You should have 50 stitches again. And now we're just going to join with a slip stitch to that first double crochet of the round that you did, skipping over that chain 2. For round 10, we're going to do the same thing by chaining 2 and working a double crochet into that same joining stitch, and also working a double crochet into each stitch around, and ending up with 50 stitches at the end of the round as well. So just 1 double crochet into every stitch around. Okay, we are at the end of round 10, and you should have 50 stitches, just like before. And now we're going to join with a slip stitch again to the top of that first double crochet that we did. So we're skipping over that chain 2 and joining with a slip stitch to that first double crochet that we did. And for round 11, we're going to chain 2 and just repeat what we have been doing. So we're going to double crochet into that same joining stitch, and we're going to double crochet into each stitch around. So 1 double crochet into every stitch around for round 11. Okay, we are coming up to the end of round 11, and now we're going to join with a slip stitch to the first double crochet of the round. So we're skipping over that chain 2 and joining with a slip stitch to the first double crochet. And again, you should have 50 stitches. For round 12, we're going to go ahead and chain 2, double crochet into that same joining stitch, and then we're double crocheting into each stitch around for a total of 50 stitches when we're done with this round. So we're just working 1 double crochet into every stitch around. I'm right at the end of round 12, and we're going to go ahead and join with a slip stitch to that first double crochet that we did of the round. So we're skipping over that chain 2 and joining with a slip stitch to that first double crochet. For round 13, we're going to repeat by chaining 2 and working a double crochet into that first joining stitch, and working a double crochet into each stitch around, just as we did before. And we should have a total of 50 stitches at the end of this round, just like before as well. So go ahead and work 1 double crochet into each stitch around, and I will see you guys back at the end of this round. So 1 double crochet into each stitch around. I am right at the end of round 13, so I'm working my last double crochet. And now we're going to finish off because we are done with our hat. It should be about 8.5 inches in height from the top to the bottom. So we want to make sure and fasten off. And we're going to do an invisible join. If you're not comfortable doing an invisible join, you can just join with a slip stitch like we've been doing to your first double crochet like this. And then you would go ahead and fasten off, and we'll go ahead and do that together real quick. And you're going to leave like the length of your crochet hook. You want to cut that much off so you can weave in to secure your tail, and then you would just take that and bring it through, and then you would weave this in, and that is it. However, to do an invisible join, this is how you would do it. I'm going to take that out, and so we just finished our last double crochet. I cut my yarn, and now I'm not going to join. I'm just going to take that yarn that I just cut, and I'm going to take my crochet hook and pull it all the way up so that yarn goes all the way through. And then I'm going to take my yarn needle, and I'm going to weave this through the yarn needle, my tail end. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to skip over this chain 2, and then I'm going to put my yarn needle underneath both loops from the front to the back. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my needle and I'm going to insert it into the stitch that it's coming out of underneath the back loop from the front to the back, and that creates that invisible join, so you can't even see where we joined. It looks just like a stitch. And then of course we would want to weave in our tail. So you just take in your tail and you want to make sure you weave it in nice and securely. I just like to go down a little bit. So there are different ways to weave. It's just whatever your preference is. I just like to do like a zigzag type of weave. And we might as well finish this up by doing our weave together. So I like to go in one direction. I like to do 3 directions. So this is one way. And I just pull it out so it's not super tight. And then I'm going to go back into the opposite direction that I just came from. And since I just came from right there, I'm just going to go in here. Just taking my needle, going through there. So this is the second time going through. And then I'm going to go one more time because I like to go 3 times. It just to me, secures it. It's never really failed me that I know of. No one's ever told me otherwise. So I just go back in. I want to grab that tail. My tail wasn't super long, so I'm just going to pull that other part. There we go. And then snip that little end off as close as I can without cutting into my little project. There we go. And there's our hat. Just a simple double crochet hat. And the length from the top to the bottom is about 8.5 inches. If you wanted the height to be longer, you would just continue to do more rounds of double crochet. And then the seam, you notice it's just a nice straight seam instead of going diagonal. And that's because we did the chain 2 there in the beginning of each round, and we skipped it and joined into that double crochet. And that gives us that nice straight seam in the back there. And if you like a border where you can make it go up like this, you can just definitely make more rounds of double crochet. That way you can make it go up. For me, I like it just to go over my ears, so this just goes right over the ears for me. So hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Nice simple double crochet hat. Thanks.